So to make this a little easier to see where we're going, let's just make an area so that we can say when we're standing on that, then we trigger that doorway. So just put that like that, and then we'll make another thing over here, another little button kind of thing, and we'll make that a different color, and we'll have this trigger zone do something else. So I'm going to do some logic, so I'm just going to plonk down a microchip over here, and we're going to look at variables. So if we grab a variable, this holds a value up here, and it has a minimum and maximum value, has other settings and whatnot, but basically it just stores a value, and there are different ways of setting what value this is. So let's first give it a name so we don't get confused. We'll call it G, and then we'll have a variable modifier. You can't directly edit this value in here. You use variable modifier gadgets to edit that value. So if we tweak that with L1 and square, then we can set that name in here, or if I just remove that with triangle, you press up and down on the D-pad and it cycles through any applicable names. So we've got a variable called G, so we can put G in that variable name that we're going to affect. Now if we use a switch to power that, it'll only do the stuff when we power it. So if we run time with pushing the right stick in, then we can tell it to set G to 11.8, and we can watch that as it changes. So if we turn it on, now it's 11.8, and then if we change that to 4.7, when we turn it on again, it will be 4.7. We can also do adding and things like that, so each time you turn it on, it adds to that value. But that's the basic idea. So for now, we're going to just set this to 1 and put that over here to be triggered when you walk into that zone. And then over here, we'll just do a simple number displayer, and that this is the current value, so we can just display that value. So now if we play, each time we enter that zone, it'll add 1, 2, 3, and so on. So that can be used in many different ways. However, it has this special feature called persist in dream. So this scene is already in a dream. So what we can do is exit this and save it. Cool, so now we have that as the variable scene, and then in here it'll update it. And now if we go and edit this one to retrieve that value, we can actually pass this value between the scenes. If we edit this scene, then we can make a similar setup. Let's just put down a microchip, and then we'll add a variable again, and we'll give it the same name, and make sure persist in dream is on as well. This means when you enter this scene, if there's already a value for G, then it will load it in, and now G will have that value. So if we have a number displayer again and plug that in, now we can go and test it in the actual dream. Now this only works in an actual dream because otherwise it's not passing the value to anything. That you actually need a dream to store that value for later on. So if we reset this progress, this will actually reset the any values of variables as well. And then we edit so that it updates in here. Now we'll play this dream. So the value is currently at 0, and then we'll just up it a few times. No, we can't do that, we have to walk through it. So we'll change it to 5. And then we'll go over to this one to go into the next scene. And it's loaded in the same value. So it's stored that value because we left the scene. And because we have a variable gadget in here with the same name, it's loaded it in. And then given us the same value. And then in here you can further change the value and so on. And even if you go out completely and then you go back in without resetting it, then it will still remember that variable value. So we go continue and it still says 5. And if we went to the map and we went to the other scene, it still says 5, and we can still change it and go to the next scene, and it all works as expected. So that's part of an actual dream, one of the special features a dream has. Another special feature is the score. A score works very similarly to a variable, but it lives in the gameplay gear, and this star looking thing is a score gadget. And this one comes with its own name as score already plugged in, and it has similar values and stuff, but this doesn't persist in a dream, it just works in this scene that it's in. But again, you can change the score. We'll just copy this so we can display the current score. We'll move it up and make it red. It's got a red border, that'll do. And now this has a score modifier with the name, and we can make it add some value. And if we plug that in, then each time we do that, it's adding that to the score, and it's displaying the score with this number displayer just fine. So let's add that to this over here. So let's remove that. I'll just power that off and move it over there, and plug that into this power. So now it will add to the score value instead of the variable. So just test that, make sure it works. Yeah, so it's adding that funny value, so it seems to be adding 2 every time. Now we'll change this. Instead of going out, we'll have it do a special thing. So here we'll just grab a wire from the detected output, and we'll plug it into a special thing on the tweak menu called post score. So this will actually send off the score into a scoreboard that the dream has. Now, if we just play this scene alone, nothing to do with the score will work, because again it requires a dream. So even if we did that and then posted the score and we just exited, there's still no scoreboard. Then we can edit this. Cool, and don't need that one, we can just use this one now. And this dream is, where is this dream? It's just local. So if we play this, we can try and post the score and see what that does. So that's posted the score, but it still hasn't actually done anything. That's because this dream isn't online, and for anything to do with the score stuff, that's all done online, scoreboard stuff. So we need to upload it in some way. So we're going to upload it privately, and we'll add a category because it likes to get some categorization going on. Okay, and then the scene will have to be uploaded privately. Cool, so now it's uploaded privately. Now when we play, we can give some score and then post it. And then when we exit, we can see we've got a score, and it's it just says scoreboard. Oh no, it says score. This is the name of that scoreboard in particular. That was the default name. It orders them in alphabetical order, as far as I can tell, and that's the number that it reached apparently when it was posted. So now, if we actually play again, we can try and get a bigger score. Let's go. And boom, blasted our old score. And then because we beat our old score, it's saying, oh, you beat the score. And you look in here, and now it's got our updated score. So let's edit this to update it. But something to bear in mind is because it has to be online, it won't post the score properly. So if we try that, okay, no, is it one more? So it says this scoreboard will not be updated because you are not playing the released version. That means the latest and released version on that's been uploaded isn't the same as the one we're actually playing. So you'd have to update that, upload it privately again, and then we'll try it again. And now that's actually uploaded and it doesn't have that warning. Another thing to be aware of is if I uploaded this publicly, if I just make it unlisted. So now when I play this, yeah, it still updates. But if we then change something, so if I change this to be, let's just make that like that, and then we can just jump on the spot, and I'll change that to be adding a higher number. We'll just update that, update in here, and then we upload that privately. Because we want to test these changes before it goes live. Then if we play and rack up some score and then we post it, we'll get that problem again with it not actually posting to the scoreboard. You can still see that what it's posting, which is good, but because we're not playing this is technically the latest version. However, it is not the version that the server is using to store the scoreboards. It's now using the public playable version. So then if you want to make sure it's actually getting to the scoreboard correctly, you have to upload the dream itself as playable again. And then when you test, it'll update the scoreboard and send the scoreboard with no problem. It took quite a lot of testing to figure that out. Something cool that they just added is the ability to set settings on the score object itself, with like better is lower, and how the multiplayer boards work, and if it's a number or a value, and that will be carried over. And because we are the owner of the dream, we can reset it or delete it. I think we need to delete it. And now, when we set another score, this can just be low. Okay, that's posted. And that appears, and it's saying that it's seconds. So you can set up what kind of scoreboard it is and how it works in the scene, and then the first time something is posted, then it will set that scoreboard up with those settings automatically. But then you can still edit it in here, change these values manually. You can reset the scoreboard without deleting it, or you can delete the whole scoreboard. And if you change these settings, then it will say this will actually lose all the scores because you've changed how it works and stuff. I'd like to thank RevPlayer, Colvetzer, the Common People, and all of my other supporters for making this tutorial possible. Check out TAPgiles.com to find out how you can support me in helping Dreams creators. Thanks for your consideration, and I'll see you in the next one.